Hey, yo! We got 105 icons. We're looking at the middies. Roll that slide. What's happening, my beautiful people? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Mike LaBelle. Today, we have icon tiers. If you support this portion of the series, a like on the video would be highly appreciated. Shares it around, spreads the love, pays it forward. And we've all had icons in our squad, whether it's swaps, packs, guarantees, player pick, just traditional pack luck. You bought them off the market. Let me know. What's that look like for you? Comment section. What icons have you possessed or do you currently own? Who's in the rotation? Tiers, we got 5 of them with 105 choices. So this is gonna come in quick fire. Endgame means outstanding. You don't need anyone else. Premium upon premium. God tier, certifiable. Top tier, usability, it's there. Mid tier, discard, keep it moving. Let's begin. I'll take a firework and a hashtag organics because I already know the eyes are leaning and you always say something, so why don't we address it? It's cold in New York City. Baggio, the Italian Brazilian. That footwork is special. I don't know if I feel comfortable having it in the top tier category. And don't go anywhere on this video because players tend to shift when we have everyone on the board. I'm gonna leave him at top tier, but he might be moving more towards the middies. Beckham, I appreciate him. I feel that he has a place in FIFA. He is out of position as a midfielder, does not fit the meta, but does offer specialist tendencies and deliverables like you couldn't imagine. That passing is extra special. Baresi, based on this, I think I gotta take him almost to the discard. Maybe I should move Beckham up. We're already making our first rearrange. Blanc's top tier, but in previous FIFAs, he would have been God tier. I don't know that it's enough. We got depth in that center back role, and I'm seeing mid 80s and up all day. Common, hype. If you know, then you know. Barnes. I can appreciate this man. I always enjoyed that he had a certain physical nature. I'm gonna put him in the mid tier for now because overall universal, that seems about right. Ballack, seen him play in person, loved it. But again, midfielders are starting to become like center backs. Dime a dozen, plentiful. We could take a bounty, we could make a vote, and they just keep getting better and better. Bergkamp, this is an upgrade into the top tier, which leads us to Georgie Best. In this version in particular, you seen him. He's a frequent customer, SBC aficionado, and he's a beast. Definitely deserves that God tier stature. Okay, I'm gonna put Butragueno there to go with him. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Butragueno is that proof in the pudding, that extra dessert. I wanted to talk about coffee. Have you ever had an affogato? I think it means suffocation in Italian. Someone could tell me again in the comment section, even though we're talking about a Spaniard. But it's this espresso with ice cream and it's brilliant. I learned about it recently, maybe 4 months ago. Shout out to Italian Football TV. Cafu, ooh, he might be endgame. Serious business. I've gone up against him. He's a lockdown. Sets up shot. I'm leaving him in God, but I'm foreshadowing some movement. Sol Campbell, to the middies we go. I just don't like him. And this is my list or my tier system. He's always caused problems for me when I've used him. Constantly, not a good situation. Cannavaro. Ooh, I just feel weird putting Cannavaro in the mid tier. I'm going to edge him up. We're going to put him into the top. Cantona, I will say this, and it's a frequent question that I receive. I prefer the baby version to the mid version. I can confirm that. He just feels a little more agile, a little faster in general. Carlos Alberto. Ooh, I like this version better than the center back, better than his baby variation. Again, I feel as if I gotta put him into the God, but if I move Cafu, do I move this man? Do these Brazilians parallel direct? There's a clear compare and contrast, and it's more of a compare. There's not a big difference between them. Roberto Carlos, growing on me a lot. I'm putting respect on his name. Undersized, but sort of explosive and a little more physical than what you might expect. I've compared him to Jordi Alba in the past, but that might be doing a disservice towards Roberto Carlos. I can already see the God tier having some fluctuation. Casillas into the mids. I don't think I'm going to rate any of these goalkeepers wild. There's just so much subjectivity, but Casillas just ain't it. Or that's not it. He won't be it. The stature just doesn't fit for FIFA glory. Petr Cech. I'm going to put him in the top tier. Just give him another notch. But again, with goalkeepers, the personal preference kicks in and you just don't have the same measurables as some of the other positions. Ashley Cole into the top tier position. I can appreciate him. I'm happy he's in the title. I would go after a faster version of this guy. Crespo. Oh boy. Some of y'all might want to put him into the mid tier. I don't know if I've just had too much time with Crespo in particular, but that's where he started. Johan Cruyff. Gotta be on that end game. Once you have a player like Cruyff, you never have to make an improvement. And that's what this tier in particular is all about. He will always be at the highest level of competition. That's inevitable, undeniable. King Kenny, you want him in the God, but I just feel that he's in the top. He's better than a good portion of the top tier, but I don't want to give him credit to be with that God tier. He's almost in between. He's sitting on the line. Deco, whoa, that's close. I don't know. We might have to move him down one. I think it's our first discard tier. Del Piero. I still prefer the baby version. I just realized I might have to do some resizing. Officially, the tiers have been resized. This is another one of those organic moments I didn't notice until we noticed that it was too big. Desai, and this is going to be controversial. I don't like this version of this player. He's great as a center back, and I could sit here and argue that you could work this CDM as a center back, and if you wanted, then you could push him into the top. So maybe this is where he should be. If you play him as a center mid or a defensive midfielder, he will be mid-tier all day. If you're going to take this foot item and then run him as a center back, we'll bump him up to a top tier. Didier Drogba. And you can tell this top tier is already hitting the expansion. Michael Essien is getting better. Still not into the God movement yet. You really need that prime version. Samuel Eto'o, pace kills, finishing kills, in behind. Just a merchant of all merchants. If he was in Aladdin, he's going to make moves. He's getting through that marketplace. No one's stopping him. Eusebio is still going to be endgame. But another question that I always receive is between the baby Eusebio and the mid Eusebio. I prefer the baby, but they're still both going to be in the same endgame category of just being unstoppable. Rio Ferdinand. The 88's not as good as the baby. I'm not talking about the rapper, and he would have an English accent. I'll just toss that into this video, but top tier is where he should be. Garrincha. I rate him heavy. He's going to get himself into that God category. In fact, this video seems like we're going to have a little more of this upper tier between the endgame and God tier. Gattuso. Oof. The players are too complete. Is it a disrespectful move to put him in the discard? Probably. But without the pace, without the shooting, without the dribbling, he doesn't have the elements or characteristics to play that position at an upper tier. Stevie G, Steven Gerrard. I'm either putting him into the top or moving him into the mid, and the same's going to be said with Frank Lampard when we get there, so there's some foreshadowing. For you Giggs, this is an awful version. There's really no good version of Giggs, but this is the discard. He's not fast, not physical. He's not really offering you any skills. Pep Guardiola. You can join the discard tier. I know some of you will put him in the mid. I'm okay with that. There are 84 or 85 rated players that are not icons that are better than this version. Rude Hullet. Not as dominant as he's been in the past, but still the talent is there, the presence is there, the size is there, the gallop, he has it. So he still goes into the God tier. So he still goes into the end game tier, but I do want to have that disclaimer that he is not as definite and defining as previous years where he was just the best guy. Haji! I like him. The Romanian. I'm sure Ovi would support that choice. The Frenchman Thierry Henry, Invincibles, Arsenal, also top tier. There's no reason that he shouldn't be God tier or even endgame, but he just doesn't perform at that level. And I keep talking about it. It's upsetting for me. As someone who was involved in those years, this is one of the greatest Premier League players, one of the most decorated and influential players throughout my important years. And I can't bump him. Hernandez. Starting to be a little more one-dimensional. My heart says to put him in the top. My head's starting to say maybe he has to be a little more mid. I think you're limited between the passing and the physical. He just ends up being a burner, and there's so many players that can do that job. Hierro, middies. I prefer the baby version of Hierro. If he was in your debatable, if you're looking for a new center back to put into motion. Inzaghi, that is the death to your pack luck if it happens. Discard tier all day, every day. Kaká, I don't like this version. I can't believe he's not going to be at least in the top tier, but I want the baby. I want the prime. It's just not it. Roy Keane, if you're using him, you are a fanboy from real life because it's not cutting it in FIFA. Miroslav Klose. It's going to be behind my face cam. Apparently, I can't align a tier system anymore. What did I do in the previous video? I did a tiers video last week. Kluivert, still got love for him. Still got quality appreciation. And he's put in so much work for yours truly that I'm going to give him the top tier, but it might be a slight reach. Coleman is going into the middies. This guy right here. Coleman is going into the middies. Of the middies. Mid-tier with a mid-icon. Philip Lahm. Probably still has to be top, but he's not going to be my stylistic choice for a defensive midfielder. Lahm's an interesting player in general because he has certain levels of versatility, but he also has detriments that are clear-cut, especially on the physical end. And whether you're playing as a defender or a midfielder, that is a limitation. It has to be discussed. Frank Lampard. Told you if I put Gerrard here, Lampard's got to be here too. They just share a lot of similarities. Henrik Larsson. Maybe I just needed to scroll down. That's what I was missing. My bad. Laudrup. Trash. Don't use him. Don't buy him. Don't believe in him. Does not put out. It will be a bad first experience for you, and that's starting 11. Lineker. I'm going to move him into the mid. I've always enjoyed Lineker. Maybe he deserves to be borderline in the top tier. I can't just put everyone in the top tier. I got to have a backbone. Lippmann in. We're joining Lineker. Going to midi add up. Luis Figo is in the top tier, but my disclaimer is that the stats seem a little bit fraudulent anytime that I've used them. I like Makaleli, but again, we're starting to get to that point where I could do better. So we're just going to leave him in the mid at the moment. Maldini. Still got to be God tier for me. I didn't love the price point associated with the new SBC, but it doesn't feel right to not have Maldini in the God tier at all times. But similar to even previous or before mentioned center backs, I don't feel that Maldini has the impact and value that he once did in FIFA. Maradona. Oof. Endgame? Or do we move him to the God tier? He's not on the same level as Cruyff and Eusebio, so we're going to bump him down one. That's the final verdict for me. Lothar. Oh, he gets busy. Put some more respect on Lothar. That is a God tier all day, every day, and I don't see him in rotations. Maybe it's price point based. Bobby Moore, underrated. Just going to toss that out there, but I'm still putting him into the mid. Nakata, you know the ordeal. You see him in a pack. I'm sorry. My apologies. My condolences. Nedved has always been a classic character. If you play Super Smash Bros., if we had a FIFA version, Nedved would be a character that I'm lining up with. A player that I'm making the pickups. Nesta, I don't like him. I can't even put Nesta in the mid tier. I don't get down with them. He leaves so much on the table. This version of JJ, slowed down the winger, no longer nearly as explosive, also has the same concerns or skepticisms as his before mentioned items. Overmars with the cannon, man, with the burner. I'm going to give him a top tier position. Against the grain, perhaps. Michael Owen, middies, just because, again, I'm getting a one-dimensional player in FIFA. It's a through ball or it's a through ball. Pele, all of the versions. Yeah. You name it, you put him here. End game. You don't need to tailor anything. Pele will grow into the suit or he'll shrink down for it. Petit's an interesting item. I'm still going to give him a top tier position, but again, I'm a broken record. I'll reiterate, these center mids that are missing certain elements and these center backs that used to be just hands down, some of the best, the cream of the crop, it's not working that way anymore. Pirlo, oof. Until you get to the prime, he's going to be challenging to use. Pires, I don't believe. I think there's a lot of fraud activity. Puskas. Oh, we're double digits now in the God tier. Gotta be there. Not quite enough for the end game. Got that 3-star weak foot. Puyol is going to be in the mid for me. I've seen people be able to incorporate him. I wish that he was better in FIFA, frankly speaking. I just respect and have such an appreciation for him in the way that he played the game on the pitch, but virtually it hasn't translated. Raul's going next to Puyol. We're going to have the Spaniards right there. To his Rijkaard, and I like the center back version of Rijkaard quite a bit. Always been a little more of an underrated icon. I don't know if he should sit here if we're gonna have that one step up. I think I'm actually gonna bump him. Personal preference as per usual, but I like Rijkaard, and I've gotten busy with him. He's shut down a lot of offensive weapons. He's been an impactful guy in that back line. These are facts. Riquelme, there's not a good choice here, and it's such a bummer. I rate him. I've always appreciated his game, technical difficulty. Not with this guy. Or here, this guy. Rivaldo. I never got on with them. I always feel limited. I feel as if I'm being hindered. Ronaldinho I'm struggling with here. I want him right here. Because this Dino from the baby is massive changes. Massive. Undeniable again. Completely different players. The burner is intact. And what Dino has that's special is he has new animations. Because what happened was Dino used to be a cover star. He recorded special movements that were unique to him, of course. I think we can all relate to witnessing some of that Dino-ism. And he still has it. I'm going to give him the end game. Oh, R9. Only one place to call home. Join the Brazilians. The trio between Pele, Dino, and now R9. Arguably the best striker in the game. Wayne Rooney. I think I'm going to move him all the way up to God. Is it because he's new? Is it because I support Everton? Is it a slight reach? He kind of sits between the two, so I got to lean one way or the other. And we're not leaning back. Fat Joe, Skinny Mike, Dirty Mike. Rui Costa, mids. I'm going to start speeding this up. Ian Rush, mids. But that mustache, God tier. Schmeichel. I'm going to throw him into the top tier again. Goalkeeper disclaimer, you already know what it is. I like him. Paul Scholes, oh, I wish he was so much better. Just out of love and appreciation, we'll put him into the mids, but I'm not upset if you go discard. Schweinsteiger, mid tiers. This is our triple tier at the moment. Socrates, top tier, doesn't do enough for God tier, but he is kind of unique and unorthodox, which will resonate with some of you watching. Seedorf, I packed him. Maybe I have a bias, but pretty clear-cut top-tier player. I'm using him currently. I put him into motion this past weekend. Still does the job. Alan Shearer, oh, it's rough. Arguably the greatest goal scorer of all time in Premier League history. Most goals in Premier League history. Brute nose. Old school through and through, physical. Scored a lot of ugly goals. I respect it. Didn't have the same delivery as some of the squads now. This is before you could buy your way in completely. I still think he has to be discard though. Shevchenko, mids. Sanchez, mids. Stoichkov, upgrade that a little bit. Top tier, another underrated icon. I don't see Stoichkov used nearly enough. Torres, you're joining. Stoichkov, not quite to that God status or stature. Trezeguet, I haven't seen anybody touch him. We're just going to throw him straight into the discard session all day, every day. I like Schuker. Another Dirty Mike bias. Schuker is one of those players that, again, connects with me. We're sharing the Wi-Fi. We're aligned. Van Basten, similar to Shearer. I don't know if he's ever going to have the tools either. Van der Sar is my favorite of the goalkeepers for icons. I'll still throw, at best, goalkeepers going top tier. Not going to see any movement above that. Van Nistelrooy, even at a 90, I could put him as a mid if you want, but you're not giving him playing time. He's not making it in the squad. He's not coming off the bench. He's not a super sub. He's not a reserve. He could be a coach. Robin Van Persie. This is the slowed down version. I liked where he had a little more kicker, a little more pace. I think I'm going to leave him in the mid. Varane, I'm not feeling it. He's going to leave a little more to be asked for. We're going to put him in the discard at the moment. Agree or disagree. Vidic into the mids. Great body type. Super physical. You know what you're receiving. Patrick Vieira. Wow. I think he still has to be on the end game. I think he's above God tier. Just so overpowered in every form, every output. However, Vieira. Christian. That's not the same story. Beautiful hair. But we're going to throw him into the discard. I know your reaction if you pack him. By me knowing that, I just can't see how he can even be in the mids. Ian Wright, he's done just enough. Just enough. Plus a slight bias. Xavi is another underrated icon. I'm putting him in the mid, but I am debating a little movement here because I really like Xavi. And if you've played with him in game, he has a little more free flow, a little more fluidity than maybe you would expect when you look at the foot item. Yashin, without the hat. I'm going to go ahead and toss him next to Van der Sar in the top tier. But when it comes to goalkeepers, again, same story, same narrative. Zambrata. I like Zambrata. I tempted here to put him into God tier. I really trust Zambrata. Might be a slight stretch. I don't know if he's quite on the talent pool that he's associated with here. But he's above a lot of the top tier as well. I'm having an internal debate. Zanetti, not having that same debate. We're going to throw this version in particular into the mids. Zidane, you already know what's happening here. 94 overall. A lot of stats that align properly. And then Zola. Always had a lot of love for Zola. Are we going to do it? It looks that way. We've now created 4 tiers, or 4 status points of tiers. Let's review. Why don't we go top to bottom instead of the other way around? I'm not moving the end game. I like this crew, this selection. It's more about, do any of the God tiers move up? I really enjoy Best this year. Cafu has been such a monster. You don't need another fullback. So I kind of feel a need and a want to give him that bump. And if you're doing that, then you have to go ahead and move Carlos Alberto as well. They're just too similar. Eto'o could make some sort of case. There's no doubt Detective Eto'o could do that. Garrincha's going to stay. Maldini's staying. I'm going to hold Maradona here as well. I feel a little more limited. And it's not my favorite version of Maradona with the mid. Puskas, the same thing, the weak foot limitation. I'm cool with this. Wayne, you're welcome. All right, let's go down for a second. Top tier, Baggio, Beckham, Blanc, and so forth. There's too many players for me to really name everyone on our way out. Some of you would have King Kenny, Dalglish going into the God section. I told you if you're playing Desai as a center mid or a holding mid, he needs to move to the middies. But I'm pretty comfortable with this group. It's a really big group. Even with the mid tier, I don't think you're going to have a lot of movement, at least not on my end. Kaká just off GP. General principle, could easily be in the top tier. Maybe for all the respect and favoritism that I've had, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But it's a slight movement. And some of the mid tier has some usability, but they're not iconic virtually. And I'm pretty happy with the rest of this crew in the discard tier. Let me know. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What icons do you have in your rotation? Use the comment section, and as per usual, we're uploading ASAP. Turn on some notifications. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate you. Stay beautiful, my friends.